Holy shit, people. You just can't make this stuff up. You just cannot make this shit up. So as I'm sure y'all are very much aware, I've been on APB status for the last few months. I post something every once in a while on my Twitter account, but when it comes to YouTube and all this crumb side stuff, I've been radio silent for a good hot minute, and for good reason. I've been enjoying the recent abundance of my personal life and enjoying the fruits of my continued labor. Hell, I'm even on the verge of fulfilling a personal life goal of mine that I've been working towards for the past 9 years. How abundant has my life gotten exactly? Well, I upgraded my TV to a 65-inch Hisense U7G, got myself a PS5, bought my girlfriend a Switch, and am even on the verge of closing the deal on a custom gaming laptop with a 3080 Ti and i9 that is sure to cost me over $4,000. Also, once my designated year-long embargo on new gaming platforms is up, I very much plan on getting a Steam Deck as well. Only platform I don't have and have no interest in is the Xbox, as I can play all that console's games on the PC. Hell, you're probably hearing the abundance that my life has gotten to, as I'm now using a Blue Yeti X mic to record this audio. So needless to say, I haven't had a whole lot of interest in what's been going on in the crumb side and with these fanboys and crumb bum ass frauds and lames in the community. And I had fully intended to keep it that way for the foreseeable future. But unfortunately, it seems that despite me minding my own damn business and trying to enjoy my personal life, I just had to get roped into some fuckery.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
So since certain people can't seem to leave me the fuck out of their idiotic trolling, and other people can't keep my name out their mouth, now I'm fixing to come back and deliver some much needed humble nukes. So what is this all about exactly? Well, let's start from the top. Like you saw in the opening frames of this video, here we have some lame ass trying to impersonate me on Twitter, committing gimmick infringement, and trying to start shit with people in my name. This is about the third or fourth impersonator sock account that I've encountered since I first came on the scene back in 2013. Which tells me that I'm doing something right if people are that affected by me that they dedicate time and effort in trying to parody me or impersonate me to try to troll or whatever dumb shit reason no-life losers do what no-life losers do. I mean, they say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and I know you clowns are trying to be like me, but you're not me. You can't be me, and you never will be me. You lack the mental acumen, the wit, and the life experience to even come within a light year of being on my level. So I think it's time for y'all to just give up the ghost already. Or chug an antifreeze smoothie. Either one works for me. And hell, if you're going to impersonate me, you could at least get the profile pic and actual Twitter username right. Every Twitter account I've ever had used a form of my YouTube logo for the profile pic and used some form of my online moniker for the @Twitter username. I mean, if you're going to make a shitty attempt at impersonating me, you can at least try to look like me, which I can at least give credit to the 2 or 3 previous impersonator sock accounts before this because they at least put in some effort in that department. This fucking clown was too lazy to even do that. That username ain't even close to what I normally use, and neither is that profile pic. Which should have been the first damn clue for those who wanted to throw shade at me, thinking that sock account was actually me. Which, speaking of, I'm not going to cover each and every one of the individuals in that thread that may have thought it was me and threw shade on my name, because I not only didn't even read the entire thread because I don't care enough to, but even if I did, we would likely be here for a good hour at least, and I'm really not in the mood to be making hour-long videos at this point. Maybe later I could take a closer look and document all of it on Twitter or in a future video, but for now, I'm just going to focus on one particular individual specifically from this community. That being Ashen Luca, the resident shitbag, scumbag, slutbag, I don't know. All three of them are valid as far as I'm concerned. This loopy hoe used the actions of an obvious imposter account, thinking it was really me, to unload what seems like years of pent-up, rage-filled hatred towards me, and dump all kinds of out-of-context, overly emotional bullshit on my name. Like, the vitriol from this goofy bitch was to the level that you'd think I murdered her dog or something. When aside from one encounter on Twitter at least 2 or 3 years ago, when she came into my mentions when nobody was talking to her, to defend Jack Move Johnny for being a jobless bum living with his mother, where admittedly she did display the typical modern female sign language mentality and didn't know when to shut the fuck up and quit while she was behind, I've said not one word to her or about her. Not that I give a fraction of a percentage of a microbe of a shit what her issue is with me, but if I had to guess what the catalyst of her beef with me is, despite what she claims, which I'll address in a second, it would most likely be the incident that was covered in my What Happens When You Call a Dealer's Bluff video from 2018. Roll the footage.
Pretty cool. And I definitely think people, if they do limited edition Elite controllers, should pick them up, because as you can see with the current Gears Elite controller, no one can find that. For
the Great Exposer is a fanboy of me. How you doing, bud? I don't even know who the fuck you are, but how you doing?
Can't stop talking about you, apparently.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. I'd love it even more if you could link me to some hypocrisy that wasn't edited out of context or 2 fucking years old.
Well,
yep, seems to me like she's mad that I called out her internet X-Thought homeboys for the fuckery they were typing on Twitter and saying out their worthless mouths. Look, you goofy cunt, you taking it personally that I go after people you've deemed as your friends, despite them likely just being simple internet acquaintances that you've in all likelihood never met in the real, is not my problem. That is your problem. It's your problem for not only overvaluing and overinflating internet interactions to the point where you consider them friendships, likely because there is a void or something else missing in your personal life, but it's also your problem for turning a willing blind eye to the fuckery they were perpetuating. Nobody forced you to even get involved. You simply took it upon yourself to get involved because you got triggered. Hell, if you really considered them friends, you should expect them to be better and not let them get away with their fuckery. But according to her, she says that she's had me blocked ever since I mentioned that video I made where I had sex with my girlfriend, thinking I was doing it to win some console war, which makes not an ounce of fucking sense, seeing as how I have no earthly clue how I would even accomplish that by making such a video. No, you loopy broad. That video was made to mock a complete and total loser who openly admitted that he was a voluntary celibate because his life revolved around video games, which was one of the most pathetic things I'd ever heard in my entire life up to that point. And in all honesty, it still is. Now granted, the individual in question just so happened to be yet another X-Thought, but even if it was a Sony pony or a Nintendrone or a PC Master Race / gaming socialist saying that losery shit, I would have done the exact same thing, as it was beyond mere gaming platform preferences at that point. Are you starting to see a pattern with this goofy hoe? Seems like she has a huge problem with me for calling out her fellow X-Thought constituency for the fuckery they commit, which as far as I'm concerned, makes her complicit to said fuckery and an accomplice by proxy. She even had a years-old tweet just saved in her archives to show off, thinking that was going to do something to expose me. Sorry, ho, not only did that do nothing to me, but saving a years-old tweet from somebody you have blocked to pull out at a moment's notice says far more about you than it ever could about me. Unless I plan on using them as evidence for a specific video, I don't keep an archive of screen caps of people I have blocked. Instead, I move on with my life as if they don't exist. Sounds to me like I own a substantial amount of real estate in your psyche, which again is not my problem because I rarely even acknowledge your existence. No, you devoting so much effort to hating on me is entirely a you problem. I mean, look at this one tweet here. He's a freak! A freak! Jesus Christ, you loopy bitch! For fuck's sakes, I can literally picture you yelling that at your monitor like I just did as you typed that. What's the matter? Did you miss your scheduled dose of psych meds the day you wrote that? Can't stand the fact that a dude you despise, yet clearly know hardly anything about, can get laid, yet no sane, self-respecting man wants to come within 5 yards of your loopy ass? I'm a freak for making a video where I had sex with my girlfriend to mock a loser who openly admitted to being voluntarily celibate because video games consumed his life? So is my girlfriend a freak too? You do know she was a willing participant, right? I told her the exact premise of the video, and even she thought the dude was pathetic and wanted to help me clown the shit out of him. That, or she was just using it as an excuse to get dug out, either or. And she's not always in agreement with my online conduct and behavior, regardless of how many times I have to explain how justified it is. Yet even she felt this was justified. So is she a freak too? Furthermore, just as a small side note, I love how all you clowns on the internet try to flip the script whenever somebody like me preemptively renders any of your predictable Internet 101 insults completely useless. How many times have I said it since the inception of my channel, people? There are usually a multitude of reasons why I do the things that I do on YouTube and or Twitter. That video of me having sex wasn't just to clown that retarded loser. It was also made to render the whole basement-dwelling virgin insult completely worthless to use against me. And yet, despite that, y'all seem to think that me making that video somehow makes me look like a weirdo, even though I'm pretty sure weirdos don't get laid at all, let alone on camera. But if I didn't show and prove that I can get my dick wet, I'd still be a basement-dwelling virgin, right? The goalpost moving is so hilariously predictable. And what makes it all the more hilarious is that y'all seem oblivious to the fact that I already knew you were going to move the goalpost from the jump. When are y'all gonna realize that I'm over here playing chess when y'all ain't even playing checkers? Y'all are over here playing hi-ho Cheerio or ants in the pants or some shit, because even checkers is beyond y'all's pay grade. I call y'all slow, but in order to be slow, there has to be at least some brain function movement. Inert is a more accurate descriptor. Hell, the entire reason why I even posted that tweet that she screen capped and held onto for an unhealthy period of time was in response to one of those dipshits in that thread using a variation of that very same dumbass clockwork insult. Awfully convenient that she left that part out of her screen caps, ain't it? I mean, if I didn't know any better, I'd be of the belief that she's purposefully leaving out vitally important context as to why I posted that to begin with in order to paint a predictable hate narrative based off of her intense rage towards me. But hey, now I'm just talking crazy. Oh, and on another side note, this dumb clown claiming that I'm still mad that Weapon Wheel roasted my ass? My dunce. I was never mad to begin with because nobody from Weapon Wheel was able to come anywhere close to adequately roasting me. I came at BG for having a proud history of being a bitch-made flaggot, came at Jack Move for being a grown-ass man in his 30s who lives with his mother in his childhood home and never had a job, came at Kid Smooth for being a pathetic, dumb-as-hell ex-thought, and came at Jimmy B Gaming for being a botting fraud and a pathological liar. And what was their clapback? A lie about sleeping on a couch when I don't even own a couch, and trying to clown me for having a fuse box in my bedroom when that's a very common place to put a fuse box in an apartment? How the fuck is that a roast? And y'all wonder why I dog the absolute shit out of you clowns in this community? I mean, how could I not? How could I not mock you dipshits when you've set the bar for roasting so low that it's doing the limbo with dust mites in hell? Like, I'm not even sure I'm interacting with sentient human beings, let alone small children at this point. Because even small children would think y'all's ridicule game is lame as fuck. But by all means, go back to sucking the dick of a podcast that's made up of 90% social reject losers. Now back to this clearly incensed garden tool. Look, if you want to dedicate so much energy to hating me, you go right ahead. However, what you're not gonna do is talk all this reckless bullshit on my name. If you're gonna hate on me, at least be able to properly articulate why without having to blatantly take things out of context and or just blatantly making shit up. Like this, for example. Yeah, I'm apparently a PC cuck, even though I have at least 7 fucking videos on my main and backup channels where I tear into PC gaming socialists. As a matter of fact, I've gone after all the fan bases at some point, and the amount of times I do so is directly proportional to the amount of fuckery they engage in. How is it that the randos that wrote my crumb-side Wikia page, who got quite a few things wrong, got this aspect of me right, yet you didn't? And don't you dare try to say because you don't care enough about me to know my gaming preferences, seeing as how you care enough about me to hoard years-old tweets to break out at a moment's notice when you get the slightest, faintest hint of an opportunity to join in on a dog pile towards me. Tell you what. We'll go ahead and let that one slide, because it pales in comparison to your biggest slip-ups. When you were informed that account was not me, you demanded to see proof, because you didn't want anybody to rain on your parade of dragging my name through the mud. When the person in question started to provide said proof, you were all like, personal attacks are pretty on brand for the great cuck poser. Let me explain something to you, you goofy histrionic cunt. Whenever I insult somebody, I'm 100% certain that it's 200% warranted, backed with facts and evidence. I called BG a bitch-made faggot because he was proud of the fact that he false flagged on 2 separate occasions. I called Jack Move a social reject loser because the man is in his 30s, living in his childhood home with mommy with no job. I called your ex-thought butt buddies corporate slaves because they displayed reprehensible extremist behavior over their preference in gaming plastic. I've been calling you names throughout this entire video because you wanted to come at me first, and because your behaviors warranted it, and so on and so forth. Cause, effect. I don't just insult people for the sake of insulting them. There's always a valid and warranted reason, or a multitude of reasons, why I insult them. Also, I very rarely bring other people, such as wives and other family members that have nothing to do with my issues with a specific person, into my beefs with said person. Far as I can recall, I've only done it one time, and that was with Blackie Lebowski regarding his father. And that's only because he brought his father onto the playing field first by constantly talking about him and saying that other people in the community he didn't like had no father figures, which was hilarious to me given his psychotic behavior, to wit I pointed out. As much as BG probably can't stand me, if he was honest, even he would tell you that I never insulted his wife. Because I have no reason to insult his wife, because his wife is not relevant to the issue I have with him. And as for J-Main, I don't think I've ever said even 2 words to him, let alone about him. All of this should have been your second clue that you were duped by an imposter sock account. But nah, you had a narrative to paint about me, colored by your seemingly unstable emotions, and facts and reality be damned because your irrational hatred of me comes first. Now, what really irritates me the most about this whole thing is when it was definitively proven that the account in question wasn't me because the guy who told you it wasn't me showed you my actual real account. Did you admit that you fucked up? Of course you didn't. You simply said, good to know. Nope. Fuck you. You do not get to do that. You do not get to talk all that reckless and trifling bullshit about me over an imposter account and just think you can sweep it under the rug without taking any sort of accountability for it and staying silent when I clap back to you on Twitter. Ain't fucking happening. Hence why this video exists. And the thing is, Luca, you were never at any point even remotely on my radar. But you sure as fuck are now. If you had any integrity whatsoever, you would either make a video or do a live stream and take responsibility for your overly emotional outbursts over an imposter account. Just be like, look, I was in my feelings over some dude on the internet that likes to go after other people over the internet, and thus had a lack of judgment and said a bunch of baseless and reckless stuff about him over what turned out to be an imposter account. I fucked up, my bad. That's all you gotta do. But doing so is gonna require you to swallow that stubborn, modern female pride and actually take a deserved L with none of this accountability as kryptonite or I'm living my truth horse shit. You take actual, genuine accountability and own up to your bullshit, and I'll consider this matter closed. It'll be water under the bridge. You do your thing, I'll do my thing, and hopefully our paths won't cross again. Or you can continue to be a petulant little butthurt cunt by not saying anything or continuing to talk your bullshit, in which case I'll be more than happy to make you a special little project of mine and incinerate the shit out of you whenever I feel like it. You want to be a shield for a bunch of internet fuckboys? Alright then, I'll go ahead and turn my righteous fury towards you if that's how you want it. But if you want to avoid all that, it would behoove you to make a public statement taking accountability for your trifling fuck shit, preferably in video form, seeing as how you felt it necessary to talk shit about me publicly. If you do that though, I'd better not detect any hint of sarcasm, insincerity, or smartass/passive-aggressive remarks. Because if I do, I'll proceed directly into combative engagement. You've got one opportunity and one opportunity only, Ash and Luca. Choose wisely. Now, as for me, I'm not going to definitively say that this video is yet another comeback because, like I said, I've just been sitting back and enjoying my actual personal life. And plus, pretty soon I'm going to have to buckle down and get ready for what I feel will be a pretty monumental moment in my near 41-year life. So I'll have even less time and motivation to be on here making videos. However, I do have a video concept that I've been holding on to for at least a month that I really want to do. Whether or not that gets done before it's time for my Rocky Balboa style training montage remains to be seen. But anyways, I'm gonna get up out of here. The Great Exposer has spoken.